I always and always have something in the pockets, whatever it is. Like you want to be ready for having carbohydrates. Well, we first need to define why we are doing these easy rides. Is it easy to basically recover, which is what professionals are doing, or whoever, like just going to not have a rest day, but just going for a little spin? Or you're actually considering this a training session, just that it happens to be of low intensity. And the reason why I kind of go into that is that if you want to recover as quickly as possible, but just to spin the legs, then it makes sense that this training session is kind of well supported with carbohydrates even during. So I would definitely go with some carbohydrates, especially in the last 30 minutes of the session, because this way you basically prevent any kind of like big decline in liver glycogen stores and speed up the recovery after. And you really don't want to like stress the body even more. You're just doing this session for the sake of doing it. And then if you are doing actually a training session, this is part of your, I don't know, let's call it zone 2 training, then perhaps you don't really want to have that many carbohydrates. So I would probably go without carbohydrates during a 90 minutes or less. Anything more, I would probably start with some more carbohydrates, but it really depends. But then the next question would be then also if the next day you're actually performing a hard training session or a hard race, then these 90 minutes, I would still fuel it, because then in the last 30 minutes or 1 hour, the carbohydrates you're eating would actually be used for glycogen replenishment after exercise. So again, it makes sense to basically preload or start carbohydrates with a carbohydrate intake before the end of the ride already. So it's really context dependent.
And I think I see that answer a lot in the application of, I say, sports science in general, is it does depend. It depends on some of that context. But it's interesting you came across that that point there, that often we perhaps want to think about, are we training for adaptation? You know, where are we in that training cycle versus are we training, like you say, for recovery so that we perform either a race, you know? So there's differences there of gaining accumulative fatigue and trying to push those adaptive responses versus I want to be fresh so that I'm going to race and I want to be fully fueled at that point. So there's an interesting dynamic that it could be either of those. And I think something else as well is considerations that I see certainly with athletes that we work with is what those easy rides consist of in a sense of, are we trying to recover? So really, are they easy, or, you know, are we going out and riding with a group and it's a bit harder? And if those cases prevail, you know, please correct me on this, Tim. But if it does end up being a bit harder, then it's more likely that we are going to want to fuel a little bit, even if it was supposedly easy at the time.
Yeah, like I always and always have something in the pockets, whatever it is. Like you want to be ready for having carbohydrates, even if it's an easy session, especially if you go outdoors and you can't really stop.
Like the days when you think, easy group ride, we're going to go out, and somebody just decides to put the hammer down and and you're chasing, and yeah, you need something as a backup.